Hey guys, welcome back to my series Road to National Master. My name's Chili, and yeah, this is our first video back after Christmas, so I hope you guys had a good Christmas, and let me know in the comments how that went, if you guys had a good Christmas or not, and hopefully you guys did. And so yeah, this is what is it? Round 5 of the third qualifiers, so there's this round and one more round, and I'm scoring pretty well, I think. I think if I win this, I have a good shot at getting into the finals, and so I really try to play my best here. It is against a 1705, and I knew this guy. This guy is a fellow friend from my Arbiters course, so you guys don't know this, but you're finding out right now that I am in a course to become a chess arbiter, and then once I get my arbiter title, I'll be able to set up my own tournaments and stuff like that, and I'll actually be an arbiter, so that would be cool. So yeah, this guy is a friend of mine. We talked a bit already, and this is our first time facing each other. We've never played chess on the board before, so this was really interesting and fun. We start off with knight f3. I'm playing the white pieces here. c5 by him, g3, knight c6, and yeah, in this position I just continue with bishop to g2 and e5, and now the pawn structure is really defined. So I could play something like d3 here and go into like a reverse King's Indian defense, which is called the King's Indian attack. And I do go into King's Indian attack, but instead of playing d3, I play this c4 move. And c4 is a move that you guys can implement in your games, and it's really going to be good for you because notice that this c and this e pawn, they are now split because the only way to defend it would be to play d6 by black, and you can't really play d5 anymore and get a huge center. This move is not on the board anymore. You can't play this because I'll just take the pawn, and that's good for me. You never want to recapture with the queen, so if you do play d5 here, then pawn takes, queen takes, knight c3, and you gain a really good tempo on in the opening. So here I was expecting just knight f6, the basic move here, and just to illustrate how good the c4 is, if you think e4 is a threat, which many of you may be afraid of, then this is very simply solved by this very easy knight h4 move. And the thing is that now this e4 pawn is being hit by our bishop, and if you play something like bishop to e7, then look what happens. Bishop e7, knight f5. How do you defend this bishop on e7? And at the same time defend this piece? And if you think that you can solve it by playing something like bishop to f6, then you've got another thing coming, because now there is knight here, knight d6, and the king can no longer castle. So just to illustrate how you can go wrong with this early e4 push, it's really not recommended. So okay, e4, knight h4, bishop e7 isn't good. What if they play d6 first, allowing now to play bishop e7? Well, you just hang a pawn, really. Bishop takes e4, bishop e7, knight f5, and it's the same story, and we're up a pawn. Bishop f6, and here we cannot play knight takes d6 because the queen takes, and we can't take on g7 because of the bishop is defending, so knight c3. We've got 3 pieces developed. Black has 2 pieces developed. White still has a good control over the center. d5 is really well controlled by white here, so this would be perfectly fine here. It's actually really good here for white, so yeah. e4 isn't good. f6 was the expected move, but here he plays something really weird and plays knight f6. Sorry, knight h6. What is knight h6 about? He wants to take early control over this d4 square by playing something like knight to f5 on the next move, and then he's gonna have a really good knight planted on d4, because all of his pieces are pointing towards d4. There's a pawn here, knight here, and once this knight jumps in over here, then it's gonna be really well placed. So I could play e5 now, preventing it. Or I could say, you know what, you can play your moves, I'll play my moves, and I choose the latter. I play d3. Yeah, I could play e4, but I'm not really that interested in blocking my bishop. My bishop would be kind of bad after I play e4 here. So yeah, no need to make my bishop bad, I just play this d3 move, and I think that's very simple. Knight f5 as expected. Again, I'm not gonna do anything too spectacular as well, just develop normally, so knight c3, d6, castles, bishop e7 is very logical, and this is now the start of the middle game and where I need to start forming a plan. So I'm never gonna play e4 now, because if I play e4 now, then this really surrenders this d4 square, and that's not what I want. I want to keep this d4 square on lockdown, because let's just say he does play on his next move knight to d4. I always have the option of playing pawn to e3, and pawn to e3 makes his knight move away, so this is really good for me, and this is the reason why I'm saving this pawn push. I'm not wanting to give him a hole on d4. I want to keep this under control with my pawns. Whereas this d5 square, it's already a hole. There are no pawns that can hold this, attack this square anymore. So I think that this is a benefit that white has, and a benefit that black seems to have, but doesn't really actually have because of my e3 push. So, okay, I'm not going to push in the center. The obvious candidate is to play on the side, on the queen side, that is, and that's why I start with a3. And my idea is I'm going to try and gain space on the queen side. So a3, castles is very logical. Rook b1, and now I've finally prepared this b4 push. I can now play b4 successfully. And yeah, so what should black do here? Well, you have two options. You either let me play b4, or you stop me from playing b4. If you stop me, you'd play a5, and again, I'd have to prepare this move some more, something like bishop to d2, knight a2, and then play this, well, actually, that doesn't work. I'd have to play bishop d2, knight a2, queen c2, and then I can maybe play b4, but again, if I play queen c2, then knight d4, and that's kind of good for him, so yeah, it is a good move to play this a5 move. Probably what would happen is I'd have to give up my idea of playing b4 for now, and play something like knight d5, bishop b6, and bishop d2, which also allows me to play this b4 push, so... And I'm not afraid of him taking me. By the way, I'm not afraid of trading this bishop for this knight, because if he takes with his bishop, then I've got the bishop pair, and even though I ruin my pawn structure a bit, I can take back the pawn, and the two bishops will be enough compensation in my mind, so not afraid of that. He plays rook b8, so he doesn't go for a5, he plays rook b8, which, yeah, I mean, you're giving white so much here. White just has everything they could have wanted. Black, again, doesn't have an outpost in the center, not really, and the player that has all the space on the queen side is going to be white after b4, which I play. C takes, A takes, knight cd4, again trying to make use of these this d4 square, and notice he plays knight c instead of knight f, and he plays knight c because if he plays knight f, then I have b5 and I win more space, and I'm gonna force some trades, and that's gonna be really good for me. So on the topic of taking more space, I play b5 anyway. So b5 seems really good to me. Okay, knight takes f3. It's an okay move. Bishop takes, knight d4. Okay, so you've got a good knight on d4. And you're attacking my bishop, so I just scoot it back. Bishop d2, simple. And I never want to trade this bishop here. This bishop is the life of the position, basically. This is what's keeping my position just really, really good. Really, really good. And it's kind of similar to like a Sicilian dragon if you think about it, because even here we've got pawns on this, what would be c5 here and d6 if this were flipped. And this bishop just sees everything along this. So really taking up many squares, which is super important. And yeah, this looks really good here for white. Bishop g4, developing, attacking this e2 pawn, so now I can't push this pawn to e3 or I hang my queen. So yeah, this bishop moving out though probably wasn't the best move, because this allows for h3. Bishop h5, the bishop moves back, and now that the bishop has defined which diagonal it's going to stick to, because again, once I play h3, you're either going to have to go back to this diagonal, or you stay on this diagonal. And okay, so he's made up his mind. The bishop has gone to h5, which means that this becomes even weaker. So that's something in the back of my mind. And yeah, here I play a move I really like. I'm really proud of this move. I play, actually, yeah, try and figure out the next move here for white. It is based off strategy and pawn formations. So give you guys a second. If you found the move, congratulations, it's bishop e3, and the idea here is that if you move the knight away, you're hanging this pawn, and that's going to be really nasty. Like, let's just say knight e6, bishop takes a7, rook a8. We can even play pawn to b6, and followed by bishop takes b7, and that's really good. Yeah, probably winning at that point, really, to be honest. So yeah, you can't really move the knight away, in my opinion. And so black here plays f5, which is also a bit of a mistake, which I'll get into after. But the idea here is that I play bishop b3 with the intent of taking. So take, and look at what black has now. These pawns are just horrible. They're doubles, they're easy targets, they can really easily be captured. I still have this d5 square for my knight, which I play next. But going back to this move here, why was f5 such a big mistake in my opinion? Because first of all, you're not addressing the problem, which is this this doubling of the pawns, and furthermore, you're making the doubling even better for me, because f5 is a really aggressive move. Usually you play f5, or so f5 for black and f4 for white if you're going for a kingside attack. And when you are going for a kingside attack, it's really a good idea to have your e and f pawns intact. So you see this in many openings, like, let's see an example. Okay, the Grand Prix attack is a great example of an attacking opening where the e and f pawns work together, and when they're not together, like this, they're split up. You see there's no e pawn here, which makes the f pawn significantly more weaker. So this is really key. He has basically no attack here. Basically, so okay. Moving on, he's attacking my knight, so knight d5, and rook f7. Just a one move blunder. So pause the video again, guys. Let me know if you find it. The move here is knight f4. Why knight f4? Because with knight f4, we win a tempo on the bishop, which is hanging. The only square which defends the bishop is g6, so he has to move to g6. And once he does, we don't capture the bishop, we play bishop d5. Because now the rook is pinned, and we're winning the rook here, so already up material. And he was really uncomfortable here, because look, his pawn structure, he's down an exchange, and I can even furthermore diminish his pawn strength by after bishop f6, which is played. Knight takes g6. I don't take the rook just yet. I don't have to, because it's always going to be pinned, so unless he plays something which undoes the pin, I can always keep my bishop here and exchange whenever I want to. So this is what I do. Queen b3, just developing my pieces. Queen e7, rook b2, defending the e2 pawn. f4, he's trying to start an attack, but it's not going to work. I just play g4. And this is the importance of having e and f pawns, because if you had an e pawn to push down the board, then you'd at least break open my position. Just by playing f4 here by itself, I can just play g4, and where's your pawn break? You've got no pawn breaks, unless you play f3. Which he does, out of desperation. This is just a pawn sacrifice, and I've got to give it to him. This was really creative. I do have to give it up to my opponent. f3 was super creative, because I am forced to take with the e pawn. If I take with the bishop, then again, he saves his rook. So good on him. I take with the e pawn. Bishop b5. Rook e1. King h7. So finally undoing the pin, and now I can take. So I do take, queen takes, and my e pawn is under attack. My f pawn on f3 is under attack, so king g2 is logical. Queen f4 by him, which tries to set up an attack on h2, but I can defend it easily. I'm not really that bummed out about going backwards. Sometimes in chess you do have to go backwards and undevelop a piece, but hey, I'm up exchange, so it's worth it. Rook e8 by him. Yeah, so now I need to find some way to make some progress. I can either play b6, but that seems to close down the position. He just plays a6, so to avoid that I play rook a2. And you can't push the pawn because of a takes. Sorry, if you play a6, then b takes a6, b takes a6, rook takes a6, and I'm breaking through. If you go rook e8 again, that just looks really bad. And then I have, maybe I don't have b6 then, but I have a really good position. Yeah, then I'll find something else. Bishop d6 by him. Sorry, bishop f6, and here I don't take the pawn on a7. I feel it's better to just defend the position and make sure everything is super solid before making progress. I'm already winning. I'm up exchange, so there's no need to get myself into any sort of complication, and that's really important, guys, when you're playing chess. Like, if you know you're up in exchange, don't play moves that look good, or don't take pawns for the sake of taking pawns just because it seems like it wins pawns. Play what you can calculate and play what will keep the position as simplified as possible. So simplification is key here. If I can, I'd play a queen trade. So my move here is queen d1, and it allows a queen trade by playing queen to d2. So that would be good for me. He plays bishop h4 and queen d2, like I said. And here, my opponent, which is a super bright player, he's a bit older than me, and he's just really creative, really creative, and you can see it ever since this f4, f3 push he played. Now he plays an even crazier move, and this move is so crazy that it's the only move that keeps black in a somewhat fighting position. And yeah, try and find it. If you play this move, it's +5 for white. If you don't, it's +12 for white. So really crazy stuff here. Get ready, guys. It is rook e3. What is rook e3, guys? So the idea is that if I don't do anything in this position, he's attacking this f3 pawn. So queen takes f3 is now possible. And if I take the rook by playing f takes, then now he has queen g3 check. King f1, queen takes f3, king g1, he can play g3 check again, and if I go to f1 he can draw, and so I need to play queen g2 to avoid the draw by repetition. And then he has queen e3 check. I can't play queen to f2, that hangs the queen, but I can play rook here, and that avoids a draw, and is still very good for me. Notice if you play something like queen takes rook, queen takes, bishop takes, king takes, I'm still up a whole rook. So you can't do that. You have to play queen takes d3 and go after my pawns. Something like rook f3, queen takes c4. It is good for white still. It's still very much winning, but it's way more complicated and unnecessarily. Like, why do this to yourself? So just because there's a rook here doesn't mean you have to take it. Which is why I played this move, which is the best move, engine move, queen d1. Because now I'm defending e3, sorry, I'm defending d3, I'm defending f3, g3 is also defended by my pawn, and he doesn't have any bishop takes f2 ideas because of rook takes, stuff like that. I'm perfectly secure here, which means that on this move, I am now ready to play f takes. So now I can't play f takes because everything is defended. What would be a move here? Let's just say king h6 for the sake of it, just to burn a tempo. Now if I play f takes, queen check, king f1, my rook defends f2, and my queen defends f3. And this rook here defends h3, so king g3 would be the end of the line here for him. So since it's no good, he has to go back. He plays rook e7. And now I just offer a trade. Rook e2. He has to decline, of course. Rook f7. Rook e4. And now my queen defends this. I'm attacking the queen and defending through a discovery here. So now my queen does defend f3. So rook e4. Queen f6. Queen e2, just making forwards progress. I can now play something like rook into e6. Again, out of desperation, he plays a6. Now we can trade. And rook e1, he goes d5. Just full desperation mode. Sacking a full pawn. I take. He goes here. Okay, you can take that pawn if you want. I'm going to go here and develop my rook. He takes. Queen e4, offering a trade. Declines, and since he was playing a bit flashy, I didn't want to just let him have all the fun. I wanted to play something a bit flashy myself, and I went for rook a5, sacking a rook. If you accept the rook sacrifice, then I just play queen takes g6, check, king g8, rook to e8 check, and that's going to be winning for white pieces. Rook f8, queen e6 check, king has to move over to the h-file, and then rook takes rook on f8. Yeah. Simplification. So he declines creatively again. Look at this move. Such a beautiful move here. Rook f5, and I can't take with the pawn. I have to take with my rook, so I do that. Rook takes, pawn takes, but now I just queen trade. And once I get this queen trade, I know I'm winning. I have tripled pawns, which are really ugly, but still, it's playable here. a5, just to save his passed pawn. Rook a6, and now it's dead. Bishop f6. I take the pawn, finally. King h6, and now I play a creative move as well, myself. The idea here is that after f4, his king is now stuck on this h-file. He's got two squares only. He's got the h7 square and the h5 square, which means I can simply swing my rook around and go for mate, which is what I play. He plays king h5 here. Bit of an imprecision, I'd say, because again, rook a8. The only way to defend this is by playing g6, which sacks a pawn. So after take, king takes, rook a6 steals the game, because now I'm going to sacrifice the rook for the bishop and have a winning endgame. 4 pawns and a king against 1 pawn and a king is just crushing, especially when they're split up like this. I mean, even if I had just this pawn and this pawn on the board and my king was permanently condemned to a1 for some reason, this would be winning still, because one king can't defend against both of these pawns. These pawns are triumphant, so yeah, now he plays king f5 and resigns. So yeah, this was a really nice game here. I really enjoyed this one. It was super fun to play, and it was really creative by my opponent, so congratulations to him. I do expect him to become a really strong player. This was such a good demonstration of creativity by him. I love that. So yeah, props to him. Hope you do well, man. And yeah, hope you guys learned something as well. And I'll see you guys in the next game. Bye.